That's how you hit a home run, not like that inside the Parker on the first.
People ask all the time, what's the coolest moment that you've ever had on a baseball field? And I've been fortunate to be a part of some special teams, have some special friendships on those teams, but to be able to do that, as a kid in Virginia, I remember going out to the backyard with my dad and my grandfather, and Game 7 of the World Series, throwing me the wiffle ball. Here comes the pitch, whack, home run. And to be able to actually live out that dream in real time, in real life, was surreal. And it's one of those moments that you look back on and you can only help but smile, because you work so hard your entire life to get to that point, and to be able to hit a home run in a World Series game at home was just, I don't even remember running around the bases. It felt like you're floating. And, just one of those incredibly special moments, for me, the most special moment that I'll ever experience.
We have a pretty special program here. My name is Jonathan Barron, as Colin mentioned. It's Vito Calisi. We are the hosts of Meet at the Apple, the official podcast of the New York Mets. And as two guys in our young 30s, this 2015 Mets team meant so much to us. And it's crazy, right? It's been 10 years, which, time has flown by. Can you guys believe it's been 10 years already?
No, Harv and I were just talking about that. We grow our beards out a little bit. It's gray. It's just not, we're not aging gracefully by any stretch of the imagination. But I can't believe it was 10 years ago. What a great event to get these kinds of things back together, to reconnect with Harv and John. But just an amazing job by the Mets, amazing turnout by the fans. Look at this room. Selfishly, thanks for having us, and selfishly, thanks for allowing us to do this and walk down memory lane.
Looking back at that year, obviously we're going to take you through 2015 overall, but is there a standout moment looking at that season where you guys clicked and were like, this is a special team, this is a special year?
I think the whole year, I think it started in spring training. Every spring training, every player buys into, we're gonna make the playoffs, we're gonna, go to the World Series. Like, that's the end goal. I know we had a few rough years before that, but, we all just bought into it. As the year progressed, we got better and better. I've said it many times. It was probably my favorite team, just because the camaraderie in the clubhouse was so great. Everybody got along. I think that has a lot to do with why we made a run.
Yeah, no, I agree with John. I think spring training, we went down there and, we were all hanging out all the time, whether it was dinners, golf, in the clubhouse together every single day. We had something different. We had a lot of homegrown guys, and we had a lot of, guys that we had gotten in, and just day to day, we had a different energy, and that carried over to the season. And then, I think we struggled a little bit at the beginning, but then we came together throughout the season, and we were like we always were, but it definitely felt different.
It was definitely a season with peaks and valleys, right? You guys get off to the hot start, the huge winning streak, and the offense sputtered a little bit for a second there, predicated on pitching, and then the trade deadline comes. And there was one night here at Citi Field that I think we all remember, where trade rumors flew about a potential deal, and a shortstop at the time named Wilmer Flores, who was potentially going back to Milwaukee. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen, and we all have great memories of that night. And it turned out Wilmer stayed, and the next night he hit a walk-off home run right here at Citi Field. And then a man named Yoenis Céspedes entered the chat. Take us through being in the dugout that night, and in the clubhouse that night, and the next day. And just that entire sequence where you think one thing's happening, another thing happens, and then this is the club that we're going forward with here into the stretch run.
That was a tough day. I remember it. I think us players were pretty upset that the rumor kind of got out to us at the time because he was playing. And knowing Wilmer, coming up through the organization, I think he was 16 when the Mets signed him, and being in an organization for that long, you could tell it meant a lot to him. Obviously, he had tears in his eyes, which, I couldn't imagine playing with that kind of emotion. But it was good that he stayed. It fell through, and obviously he had a lot of great moments with us.
Do you guys remember conversations you had with Wilmer that night?
Not really. I mean, as starting pitchers, like we had the opportunity to go into the clubhouse a little bit more than the guys who were actually playing. So I think, it had to have been one of us that kind of heard the news from inside, which is kind of, it's hard. It's hard when you hear that stuff from the clubhouse, and then you go out into the field and there's chatter about it or whatnot, and you're in the dugout. You don't know if you should say something or really how to act. So, really becomes a human moment where you feel so bad with the situation that's going on. You want to help it, you want to figure it out, but you can't. You're just try and block it out and try and win a game, and for us it was hard.
16 years old, all that you know is the New York Mets. Your family, the majority of your friends are Mets players. You develop this connection with the organization, with the city, with the fan base, and all of a sudden, it takes 1 minute and one rumor for that to just kind of be torn away. So yeah, it's a flood of emotion, and I was hurt at the time. So we're talking about the 2015 panel. I was a very small part of that, so I'll let these guys do most of the talking. But yeah, I mean, it was refreshing for me to see that type of emotion come from a player, because in this day and age where, a lot of players become mercenaries, to feel that kind of connection and have that kind of emotion for leaving the place that you love, I think it refreshed our team in a way that kind of jump-started us heading into the playoffs.
I want to take a second to talk about one of my favorite moments as a Mets fan that happened that year, and it was August 2nd. It was 3 home runs on 5 pitches. I think, until this year, the loudest we've ever heard Citi Field get was when we saw those balls go over that wall. Do you remember that moment and just the feeling of like we finally were able to catch up to the Nationals and this team was on its way to possibly seeing a playoff series at Citi Field?
For us, like we were talking about, this team was built on pitching. So we knew that if we could just put up a crooked number, put up a couple runs, that we had a chance with our starting pitching to win the game. We had, lockdown guys that had the nastiest stuff in baseball that we knew that if we just gave them a chance that we were going to win that game. So obviously to hit 3 homers and to get the momentum and get Citi Field rocking, and then give the ball to one of these guys to go shut it down, we felt incredibly confident with that.
Yeah, just watching those videos of those home runs, couldn't have involved 3 better guys. Grandy, Murph, and Duda. Duda, he was the best.
Let's give Lucas Duda his due, because we've got to take care of Meat at the Apple.
Oh, he was the best, guys.
So I'm glad you said that. Yeah. Between 2014 and 2015, there weren't many better first basemen in Major League Baseball than Lucas Duda. I think you guys could all agree. The man was talented. He was a really good player. I'm happy you said that.
Yeah,
and he came up with huge moments, too, for this club.
Oh, yeah. So one of the greatest moments with Duda was we were in Cincinnati, and that was where we clinched the East. And I knew it was going to happen there when he hit a home run into the bullpen there. And I'm like, this is going to happen.
I think it was a grand slam.
I think it was. And I'm like, that was one of the greatest moments for him, and I'll remember that forever.
Now, while this was all going on, 3 homers on 5 pitches, trade deadline, David, you mentioned you were down. Not too shortly thereafter, a big moment in Philadelphia came. Your return to the lineup. Mets down 3-0. You're facing Adam Morgan. And as Gary Cohen said, David returns to the lineup with thunder. And Mets Nation felt that thunder. Take us through the entire process, David, leading up to that moment.
Well, for me, I went and saw a back specialist. I was doing a lot of my physical therapy on the West Coast with the specialist. So the games came on at 4 o'clock out on the West Coast. So, I'd watch every game. And I think that motivated me even more to get back out there and help these guys, because they were keeping their head above water when we had injuries. We had, in baseball terms, some adversity going on. And these guys just grind, just were grinders, like grinded through it. It motivated me watching those games, seeing the team play as well as they did. And, these guys were great in FaceTiming me on the team bus or on the, texting me on the plane, trying to keep me in the loop. So, that was just incredibly gracious. And then being able to come back, during the rehab assignment, I played probably a few weeks down in A-ball trying to, get up to speed game-wise, and I sucked in the minor league. Like, it was, at this point I had, all-star games and, some awards, like, under my belt, and these 17, 18-year-old kids must have thought that, being a big leaguer is not that hard if this is what it takes, looking at me out there. So
Well, it's the other way when you're pitching. You're pitching, you get rocked. So I'm like,
So I was already had questions about my ability coming back, and I immediately went into Terry Collins' office when I got back, and I said, hey, look, I don't know what I'm going to be able to give you, so hit me 8th, hit me 9th, don't play me. I just want what's best for this team. And, of course, the next day he's got me hitting 3rd or 4th. And so being able to hit the homer, what I'm getting to is that it was almost a sigh of relief for me that, okay, I can contribute, I can be provide some production down the stretch. So for me, I was able to take a deep breath, relax, and become one of the guys a lot quicker than I thought I was going to be able to.
And we missed you at the card table in the clubhouse. He brought that camaraderie to the clubhouse. He was a true leader, so we enjoyed that too.
I appreciate that.
The captain, baby.
So we talked about the not trade before. One of the biggest acquisitions in Mets history. Yoenis Céspedes comes over here, puts this team over the top. Yeah, let's give it up for Céspedes. What's the reaction in the clubhouse? You have an impact player like Céspedes coming over.
well, my first was, David and I had the chance to watch him hit home run derby here in 2013 and put balls into the 3rd deck. So we were definitely excited about that. That's for sure.
It was nice to have him here. It gave the opposing pitcher something to fear. So, and we knew that, we felt it, and it was great to have him.
I don't think anybody knew, playing on the West Coast, like you don't really know the player. You don't know really what you're getting until he gets here. And he just brought this, like, as everybody knows, like this swag with him. Wherever he goes, he's got the chains and he's got like the walk and just the look. So I think guys fed off of that, and then he came in and became Babe Ruth, down the stretch. So obviously that helped out offensively quite a bit. But yeah, just a shot in the arm. A couple things I think fell through, and Sandy Alderson was trying to get something done, and last minute, you hear you're getting this all-star caliber player for the deadline, and it gives life to the clubhouse. It gives you a shot in the arm saying, okay, ownership, front office believes that we can become a playoff team. They provide you with that, and all of a sudden it's go time. So, and then obviously the way he played helped out tremendously. But that was definitely gave us, some adrenaline going forward.
A few hours after the trade, Matt, you took the mound here at Citi Field, and you shut down a really good Nationals team. And as everyone here knows, whenever Matt took
He
the mound,
shut down every team.
He shut down every
It
team.
didn't matter
That's
what
true.
team it was.
That's
he shut
right. I stand corrected.
Well, not towards the end, but for a couple of years.
Well, you shutting all the teams down, it had a name around here. It was a holiday every time Matt took the mound. It was Harvey
Day.
That's right. And for us in the stands, it was electrifying to watch you pitch on Harvey Day. What was Harvey Day like for Matt Harvey himself?
Well, coming into the park, it was a normal day. I would, walk around the city and have lunch and do all the normal stuff. But, obviously when I got here, I think at first it was hard to, walk into a clubhouse when you're with 25 other guys and you have a day that's named after yourself, and you're like, we're the New York Mets. We're trying to win here as a team, and it's not just about me. But just the energy that surrounded that. I could tell that guys got excited to play behind me. David and I have talked about it quite a bit over the last couple years, and it's pretty surreal. Like I look back and. It was unbelievable. The time I spent here, the Harvey days that were good, were fantastic, and it's all because of you guys. So.
Yeah. So you guys remember, like, when we used to play the Nationals, like, Strasburg was kind of doing his thing, and the chants, like, Harveys Better, which was, like, that was the coolest stuff ever. So you guys are good with that stuff, yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, we had a stable of superheroes on this team. We had the Dark Knight, we had Captain America, we had Thor.
Then you have me.
Hey, everyone needs a good Jonathan. Everyone needs a good Jonathan.
Yeah, but like those outside names, obviously they're out there. Are you not paying attention, but are you seeing them? Are you playing along with it? I mean, you start seeing Batman masks showing up everywhere.
I actually have a friend now who was one of the guys that was wearing a Batman mask, and he, I kind of give him some crap about that every once in a while. But no, I mean, for a while it got a little bit out of hand. I think with one after the other getting named, a cartoon character, comic book, or whatever it was. But it was all fun. I had 5 nieces and nephews at the time that were getting a kick out of it, probably more than I did. So it was fun for them, fun to see them get excited about it. And I live in New York City still. I walk around and I hear Dark Knight all over the place. So I give one of these and just keep walking.
Being the veteran of the rotation, I tried to keep them humble a little bit. So, but they did a good job.
By veteran, he means the old guy in the rotation.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
By 2 years.
Right.
You guys are talking about superheroes. Let's fast forward to a big heroic week in Washington, D.C., Labor Day weekend, where the Mets really dealt the Nationals that final blow, ran away with the NL East. The Monday game, the iconic fist pump as David slid across home plate. The Tuesday night game, I believe that was the Kirk Neuenhuis homer, and then Wednesday, Yoenis Céspedes hits the big home run against Drew Storen. National League East over. Take us through that weekend and how great you guys felt coming out of D.C., knowing that you kind of had it wrapped up at that point.
Yeah, so for us, going into D.C., we knew that, that we had to play well, probably at least win 2 out of 3. But I remember vividly, and, I don't have the best of memories, but I remember vividly just this like walk of determination, like from the time we got off, the plane to the bus to the hotel, like it was a business trip. Like there was no goofing around, there was no like nonsense happening. It was like, we're gonna come in here, we're gonna kick their butts, we're gonna win the division, and we're gonna wrap this thing up now. And that's exactly what these guys did. I mean, that was about as business-like as I've ever seen a team go in there, know what the goal was, and then just absolutely take care of business. And there was no, this team's done, like roll over. Like the fight in this team to be able to continuously come back. There'd be times where, these guys would, misstep and give up some runs. And we wanted to pick them up so badly for all that they did for the offense. So, I mean, that attitude I remember so vividly of coming in to take care of business and get out of there with the NL East, and that's exactly what we did.
Yeah, I do remember, being in the dugout, just the butterflies. And normally, during the season, it gets kind of monotonous, the 162, and, just kind of every day is the same. But those 3 days were just different. And it was every moment, just the butterflies. It's like, what great is going to happen next, and it was just such a great feeling.
Yeah, I don't think I sat down once the entire weekend series. I don't think, I think going into the playoffs even, I don't think I sat on the bench once. It was just, I was pacing back and forth. It probably pissed everyone off, so, making everyone nervous. But, just the excitement, like John said, and I mean, it was all different. The adrenaline, you play those games and you go to a different level. I don't think you even realize it, but you're that much sharper, you're that much locked in and focused, and we were playing some really good baseball.
So it would have been amazing to clinch here at Citi Field, but we did not. Clinch in Cincinnati, where we see Mets fans travel, and you guys clinch, you're headed to the playoffs, game ends, and you're seeing a sea of Mets fans waiting to greet you, celebrate with you. What was that moment like?
That was unbelievable. I had a chance to throw that game and threw decently well, and that was when the offense really came alive and kind of picked me up in that situation where I'd given up, I think maybe 2 or 3 runs, and we put up 7 or 8, I think, something like that. But that was to hear the energy from all the way in Cincinnati and all the new Mets chants and cheers, and it turned into a home game, and that was really special.
Well, half of them were on John Niese's ticket list because he's an Ohio guy.
Oh, wait.
So
Congrats, by the way. Congrats to the
John's
Buckeyes.
friends and family.
No, it was great. It was such a great experience. Especially that was the first time I got to pop champagne bottles and celebrate with our team, and it was just it's that feeling that you always want to repeat, and it's almost like it got contagious, that celebration feeling, and I think that's what kind of drove us to go as deep as we did to get to the World Series.
And David, that moment for you especially, you were here in 2006. That was the last time the team had made the playoffs, and you saw the team come within a game 2 years in a row after that. Were you taking just note of how important this was and letting the guys know, like, playoffs don't come easy? Like, this is a special moment. Embrace it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, going that far in between playoffs, it made me selfishly appreciate the moment a little bit more. 06, we thought that we were going to be there every year thereafter, and we thought that it was just going to be a given that we were going to steamroll the East, go to the playoffs, take our chances in the playoffs. So to go through kind of the ups and downs emotionally of, winning, losing, some rough seasons, and then building it back up, through these guys. I honestly went back on the field and I kind of soaked it in a little more than I would have I not experienced it, so far back in 06. So I really took a moment to enjoy, soak it in, try to celebrate with the fans, the city as much as I could because, it takes a lot to get to the playoffs. A lot of things have to align, and everything aligned great for us that year.
So by doing so, you guys gave Citi Field its first ever playoff series right here against the Los Angeles Dodgers. You start the series out west. David has the big 2-run single against Pedro Baez. Mets win game 1. Little incident occurs in game 2. That's what I was getting at. And then we have game 3. The first ever postseason game at Citi Field. And we all know what the Mets fans were here to say, for the pregame intros at least. What do you guys remember? I know, Matt, you started that game. Travis with the big homer. Yo blows it out of the water. What do you guys remember about the energy here in that building?
I remember that was a big battle for me that day, and I think the energy from the fans, the excitement really got me through it and pushed me to keep going and not want to get taken out of the game, a lot earlier than I did. But just all around, I mean, I had a chance to go to a lot of the playoff games this year, and it just gave me chills, and being able to see from your side what we were doing on the field and really appreciate it and kind of get a different sense of how loud it was and how special it was to be on the mound for the first one and to come back and be able to watch them now.
Yeah, I remember I didn't pitch in that series. I was in the bullpen, but I do remember Ruben getting hurt, and I think that motivated us to do it for him. And then watching the rotation do what they were doing, that was really fun to watch.
And that's how good that team was, and that's how good that clubhouse was. You got a very successful starting pitcher in John Niese that's willing to go to the pen for the good of the team. I mean, that just shows that, this team had no ego, that we were willing to do, what it took to get the job done. And I think that inevitably when something like that happens to Ruben, guys want to rally around one another, especially when you're as close-knit as we were. And to have Ruben there, walking out on the crutches and the place going absolutely bananas was, a feeling that I've never forgotten. And, one of the coolest, like, you get certain, throughout your career, these certain, like, the hair on the back of your neck raises type moments, and that was certainly one of them. So, as much as these guys wanted to put one right in between his shoulder blades, it was better to.
I already done that.
Yeah, that's what I got. That's what I was getting at. I got buzzed one game, and Harvey we're on the bench. This was, I think, maybe the year before. I can't remember what it was, but I got buzzed, and it was kind of intentional. And I'm on the bench, and Harvey kind of looks at me down there and just gives me one of these or winks or something. And then the next inning, man, he gets buried. So and that's kind of what you want on a team. you don't want anybody to get hurt, but you want the pitchers to have your backs as a hitter. And these two guys, it never had to be said. If something needed to be done, these guys did it on their own. And, I think that's what made that unit so special.
So let's move to the next round. You sweep the Cubs. You're headed to the World Series. First pennant the Mets have won since 2000. How do we feel heading to the World Series? You're taking New York there.
I mean, that series was just unbelievable. From the first pitch of Game 1 until
Which you threw, by the way. Matt Harvey dominated Game 1. Matt Harvey dominated Game 1.
But that was some series that we had, and unfortunately, I think with that we had a little bit of extra time off that may have caused a little bit of issues moving forward. But I think being able to celebrate, and we had all our families out, and we were able to party a little bit on Wrigley Field. That was a pretty good memory, and kind of shove it to them, a little bit. Drop some champagne bottles on the field and leave them there. But no, that series was so much fun.
Yeah, that Chicago series was one of my favorites. That was a really good time to be able to sweep, watch Dan Murphy do what he did. That was incredible. Yeah. World Series was great. I got to pitch a little bit more in that one. The first game we went to extras. I wanted to pitch 9. I felt good that day. And Terry took me out and said, "I need you for tomorrow." And I'm like, I'm a starter. I usually don't go back-to-back, so I don't know how I'm going to do, but I ended up pitching the next day too. But yeah, it was a great experience. Something I'll never forget.
Well, our director, Mike Lano, and all the great men and women back in the control room who are doing a great job today, by the way, running the show for all you great fans. They have a little special video queued up. So we're going to take a look and we're going to listen. And then, David, I want to get your thoughts on it.
That's how you hit a home run, not like that inside the Parker on the first.
We don't talk about that.
People ask all the time, and what's the coolest moment that you've ever had on a baseball field? And I've been fortunate to be a part of some special teams, have some special friendships on those teams, but to be able to do that, as a kid in Virginia, I remember going out to the backyard with my dad and my grandfather, and Game 7 of the World Series, throwing me the wiffle ball. Here comes the pitch, whack, home run. And to be able to actually live out that dream in real time, in real life, was surreal. And it's one of those moments that you look back on and you can only help but to smile because, you work so hard your entire life to get to that point, and to be able to hit a home run in a World Series game at home was just, I don't even remember running around the bases. It felt like you're floating. And, just one of those incredibly special moments, for me, the most special moment that I'll ever experience.
Well, guys, 10 years later, for us to be able to talk with you, and we relived it all. I don't think we left anything out. Thank you so much for being up here, joining us, for retelling the story, for all the memories that you all gave us. Guys, give it up for David Wright, Matt Harvey, and John Niese.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks, guys.